So in today's episode of Off Topic Talks, we're going to be touching base on one of the habits that I have that maybe isn't the most progressive for my bank account in the short term, but hopefully it will be very much so as a form of investment into my knowledge base and my value in the professional marketplace in the long term. So I personally don't think this is a bad habit. Some people might care to rebuttal this or debate this reality, but obviously I'm a little bit biased. So this was brought up because somebody asked me what my favorite book is. And as somebody who is definitely an autodidact by nature, who loves to read, that is one of the worst questions I could possibly be asked. I'm not sure I could ever define one singular book as having been favorite, because so many of them have contributed to my development in a progressive way that makes me value and appreciate that which I was able to take away from those books. And some books more than others. Some books, one powerful lesson learned. Some of them, multiple lessons learned that maybe weren't as impactful as that one, but collectively gave very much to me in either the short or long term. Now, to explain to you my habit that I have, it's not reading, it's not the pursuit of learning and the accumulation of knowledge, but rather the fact that I purchase books proactively, such that I end up with an overwhelming number of books unread. This table's not a great example, but to give you a little bit of perspective, I was doing some spring cleaning in the middle of the winter of the office, and these were just a few books that happened to be laying around. And yes, I realize how intimidating that is to consider that this was what was just laying around. So if you're wondering, you'd be correct in your assumption that my office can at times, and most often is, complete chaos. And about 80% of these books I haven't even read yet. Now granted, some of them I've read many times over, and I reference often, which is why they were laying out, but a lot of these I have yet to consume the content within their covers. But this is just scratching the surface, because this is just what was laying around. This is not what's in my office cabinets. This is not what's in my bedroom. This is not what's in my garage. This is not what's in my office. This is not what's on my office floor. Because what happens is, as I read, when an author references another author or a specific book by that author, I proactively buy it, knowing that if that individual inspired this individual who is inspiring me, I likely will be able to extract something valuable from their work as well. Further, if somebody of importance or influence in my life makes a suggestion as to something I should read, I immediately purchase it, proactively. Oftentimes people share with me books or gift me books, hoping that I will also be able to extract similar benefit to what they were able to take away from that book in a progressive sense. Then on top of that, individuals that I follow on social media platforms that I feel are inspiring or have achieved things that I hope one day to achieve in a similar capacity. When those individuals post books or write books, I immediately add it to a list, and when the opportunity presents itself, I purchase them. Not to mention all of the other books that I see on the shelf when perusing a used bookstore, especially those are my favorite, or even a new bookstore that I'm compelled to buy. Yes, I judge books by their covers, quite often actually. And as a byproduct, I accumulate these massive quantities of books that are otherwise unread. It's inevitable that they will be read at one point, but I just found it interesting because so many individuals neglect reading, not realizing how much knowledge that they're actually leaving on the table, pun intended. Not realizing how much potential that they're leaving untapped. As individuals, as professionals, and as anything, anyone could be in between. And for me personally, it's that constant pursuit of self and professional development, understanding that I'm not just interested in training or training history or nutrition history or training methodologies or individual coaches or even motivation, but rather finances, law, politics, economics, philosophy, biology, physiology, biomechanics, physics, business, biographies. The list goes on. And there's so much information out there. And as many people look at a lot of these books and say, well, there's $30, there's $100. I have books that are $200 or $300 a piece. And they look at it as a waste. I often consider the $1 million idea that exists within those covers. I often consider how it will contribute to my ability to level up and learn such that I can then consequently remove the L and earn at a greater capacity. Because one thing you'll notice is that a lot of people in life, as cliche as this sounds, a lot of people in life might own a television or a comparable form of entertainment, but the most successful individuals you will ever meet have incredibly expansive libraries at their disposal. Do with that knowledge what you will, but understand that success leaves clues.